Okay, as I promised in the class, I want to go through the remaining problems from chapter 1 because we didn't have enough time to in the class. So let's go straight to the question. The question is asking you about mass of a fuel jet, and so you have the volume of fuel jet in liter, but as I said, but you cannot use this table to convert between liter to mass, which you need to find it in kilogram. So these tables are good just when you are trying to convert between the units of volume, or when you are converting between units of mass, or when you are converting between units of length. But you cannot use it to convert between, to go from volume to mass, or go from mass to volume. When you have such cases, you need to use density. So when you want to go from volume to mass, or from mass to volume, you need to use density. How it works? It is like that. You have the density, which is mass per volume. If you multiply it by volume, it gives you the mass. This is something that we will do in this question. And if you have mass, you want to use the density to find the volume, you do it like that. Mass divided by density give you the volume in liter. And now let's work on this. And in this problem, let's start working on this problem. Like any other problem, we need to write given, which is volume in liter, 173,231 liter. And you also have density, which is 0.8, and it asks you to find mass. We show it with M, and the unit is kilogram. Should be in kilogram. Now you need to pay attention to something. Here you see we have it in liter, and we want to use the density, but density is in centimeter cube. You cannot cancel out liter with centimeter cube. So the first thing first, you need to go from liter to centimeter cube, which you go to milliliter, and then you go to centimeter cube. And as I said in the class, if you just go directly from liter to centimeter cube, I'm fine with it. And let's see what happened. Let's start calculations. 173 liter multiply. You want to go to milliliter, and we already discussed it. You know that you need to write 1 milliliter. One milliliter is 1000 10 10 to the negative 3 liter. You can also write it on the other way. You can write it like 1000 milliliter is 1 liter. Both works for me. And then liter cancel out each other. You remain with milliliter. And then now you need to go from milliliter to centimeter cube. And as you know, 1 centimeter cube, 1 milliliter is 1 milliliter. So they cancel out each other. Now you want to go from centimeter cube to gram because you need to find a mass. So then you need to go to gram. What should you do? You should use density. So then you multiply it by the density that you have, which is 0.768 and gram per centimeter cube. And now, as you can see, centimeter cubes cancel out each other. But it asks you what is the mass in kilogram. So you need to go one more step to change gram to kilogram. And as you know, one, and you need to write gram here, kilogram here. Why? Because grams cancel out each other and you remain by kilogram. So, and as you know, 10, sorry, and 1 kilogram is 10 to the power of 3 gram. Here again, as I said in the class, try to make sense of something that you are writing. Here, when I'm in this step, I say 1 kilogram is 1000 gram. This is how it will be, this is how we read it. And so, does it make sense? If it makes sense, it means I'm doing it correctly. But if I do it in reverse, if I write it in reverse, it would be like 1000 kilogram is 1 gram. So it doesn't make sense. So always try to see if something that you are doing makes sense or not. And the final answer would be 1.33 10 to the 5 kilogram. And definitely uh, here you can also write 10 to the negative 3 for kilogram. It also works for me. Let's go to the, and this is the answer. Now let's go to the next example. There are some examples that you have some problems that you have the equation, and most of the time we give you the equation in the exam. So these problems are easy to do, as I worked one of the examples with you in the class before we get to before we start talking about the dimensional analysis. I would be able to say that you are good in these type of questions. And it asks you find the radius in centimeter of a spherical water droplet with a volume of 0.0058, and the volume is given. If you give me 1 second, I need to. Okay. Here. It gives you the radius in centimeter, and it asks you for volume of droplet. So you have a droplet of water, and you have the volume of the droplet, and it asks you what is the radius in centimeter. So, and you also have these formula, and radius is r. Okay, as you can see, this formula is written for uh, v, but you already have the v. You want to find r. So as you know, we need to rearrange the formula. So like any other questions, we'll start with given, which is 5.58 centimeter cube, and it is volume, and you need to see find, which is the radius in centimeter. Even for such examples that is not that you have like one given and one find, please write given and find, because this way you make the good habit of writing given and find, and it helps you a lot to avoid uh, mistakes while you're working on your problems. So the first step, and again, you can also draw a conceptual plan. You need to go from volume to radius. But as I said, that one is written for, that formula is written for volume. We need to rearrange it to get it for radius. So that is something that we have. Now we want to rearrange it. The first thing first, we need to multiply. We need to divide both sides by 4 by this, which gives you so something that I have done, I divided both sides by this, and now I ended up with this one. And now, and as you obviously know, these two cancel out each other and you have 1. Now we need to rearrange it one more step to go from R3 to R. So you write it like that. R equal pi V and to the power of 1/3. And it was like that. If I want to write it in a way that makes sense for you, this was also, let me write it in a different color, 3 to the power of 1/3, and these two cancel out each other and leaves you with R. Okay, and the other side should go to the power of 1/3. And if you don't know how to perform that calculation in your calculator, please reach out to me. I can show you how you can do it, and it's totally fine. The last step is we plugged in the value that we have in the formula. R equal 4/3. Oh, sorry, should be the other way. I V And for V, we need to plug in the value, which is point and centimeter cube, and centimeter cube to the power of 1/3, which gives you, for P, when you're putting it in your calculator, plugged in as a 3.14 to get the answer. And the final answer would be 0.24013 centimeter. And since your given value has two significant figure here, this one just has two significant figure, you also need to write your answer with two sig. You need to round it down because this one is 0. And as you might know, when you're performing the calculation, these two also cancel out each other and you end up with centimeter. Okay, again, if you don't know how to do do 1/3 to the power of 1/3 in your calculator, you can just reach out to me and I can show it to you how to perform it. And this is the solution. You also have it on your slides. Now let's do the next one. It's combo of both. You have a formula to use and you also have the density. So let's read the question together. It is asking you find the density. Let me change the color. Find the density, and this is the unit. So as we have here, this is your find. And of a metal cylinder with a mass of, so this is one of the givens, mass in gram. We list it here. And length of 1.94 centimeter, we list it here. And radius of 0.55 centimeter. So we list it here. As I told you in the class, when we have a regular shape object like a cylinder, you can calculate the volume of the cylinder using mathematical formula, okay? Because it's a regular shaped object, and this is the formula. After you use that formula, it gives you the volume of the cylinder in centimeter cube, because this one is centimeter, this one is centimeter, so it will give you the value in centimeter cube. And since your density, and you also then you have, so to find the density you need what? As I said, even if you don't know what is the uh, formula for density, you can just look at the unit. So in the unit it says you want centimeter cube, so this formula give you. What else you want? Gram. Do you have the gram given? Yes, you have the gram here. It is given here. So after you calculate the volume using that formula, you have the gram, you plugged in the values, and you find the density. That's something that we are going to do right now. Here you can see the first step, it calculates the density. We have R, you just plugged in the R, and L in the formula, and this is something that you end up with. And as I said, and we will see one example on the next slide, when you are doing the calculation, you don't round up the answer until the end. So right now you are multiplying. And what is the rule for multiplication? It says that you have the your answer should has the number of sig fig equal to the lowest one. For example, and this means this one has 2 sig fig and this one has 3 sig fig. So your answer should have 2 sig fig, but you do not round it here. You just draw a line here. This means that these are the only two numbers. Uh, this is something that you were supposed to round to, but you're not rounding it until the end of the calculation. Again, in the next slide, I explain about this in more details. Okay, and then as you had, now you want to find the density. As I said, you divide mass by volume. The mass was this, your volume is this that you calculated. Again, this one has 2 sig fig. So this one has 2 sig fig. This one has 2 sig fig. So the answer should have 2 sig fig. And you round this down because that is 0. So you just write it as 4.5. And when I was talking to chem success leaders, they said there were some confusion about when you round your number, when you have multiple calculations. And it makes sense because we covered it at the end of the class when you were packing your backpack. So now I want to spend a little bit more time on that subject for you. So we have these multiple step calculation. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to solve this. When you are solving this, it gives you this number. But here you are saying this one has 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places, and this one has 3 decimal places. Okay, so as we have in rules, the final answer should be written with 2 decimal places, but you are not rounding it here, so this one should go 2 decimal places. So you draw a line under it to know that you just have 2, just 4 and 7 are sig fig, but you are not rounding it here. After then you multiply the result of this with this one and this one. After you got your final answer, now you need to round it. So you say this has 3 sig fig. This one has how many sig fig? 4 sig fig. And this one has how many sig fig? 2 sig fig. Let me write it in different color. And 2 sig fig. So this one has 2 sig fig. So as we know, when we are multiplying or dividing, the answer should have the least number of sig fig. So you round your now you round your answer, and your final answer should have two significant figure because of that one. So you use underline, you draw a line to make sure that you know how many sig fig you have on your answer when you have some middle calculation, like something that we had here. So you use the line to see how many, to make sure that you know the correct number of sig fig, and then, but you're not rounding it. You continue your calculation. At the end, you round the final answer. So that's it for today. If you had any question, confusion about anything that I covered today, or any other questions that we have on homeworks, uh, please come to my office or send me an email. And thank you for your time.